Aye. Mrs. Gillibrand, aye. Ms. Hirono, aye. Mr. Wicker, aye. Would be it. Mr. Hickenlooper, aye. Mr. Booker, aye. Mr. Graham, aye.
And folks, with that, Governor Raimondo, the 51 plus votes she will need to become the next Commerce Secretary of the United States. And the count continuing right now on the floor of the United States Senate. But Governor Raimondo, she has secured confirmation here on second day of March 2020.
Aye. Rounds, aye. Sanders, aye. Mr. Tester, aye. French, aye. Mr. Inhofe, aye. Sorry. Mr. Toomey, aye. Menendez, aye. Ms. Johnson, aye. Grossoff, aye. Mr. Durbin. Aye. Mr. Lee, aye. Just have Mr. Hawley, no. Mr. Blunt, aye. Mr. Hawley, Mr. Barrasso, no. Mr. Coons, aye. Mr. Warnock, aye. Ms. Ernst, aye. Mr. Murphy, aye. Ms. Cortez Masto, aye. Ms. Scott of Florida, no. Mrs. Shaheen, aye. Thank you. Ms. Avenel, aye. Mr. McConnell, aye. Mr. Padilla, aye. Mr. Hoven, no. Mr. Sass, no. Ms. Rosen, aye. Ms. Hassan, aye. Schumer,
And folks, good afternoon. If you're just tuning in right now, Governor Raimondo has secured the votes to become the next Commerce Secretary here in the United States in the Joe Biden administration, and they're just finalizing the votes inside the United States Senate. We're watching that right now. Sometime in the 3 p.m. hours, when Dan McKee is expected to take the oath of office to become governor of Rhode Island, and he will do so in a private ceremony inside the State House stateroom. We'll also carry that live here across B-Town social media platforms, and welcoming all of you who are watching on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and across our network of social media. Again, Governor Raimondo, she has the votes, and it's just a matter of procedure right now before she'll be formally named or nominated and confirmed as Secretary of Commerce.
Mr. Scott of South Carolina, no. Ms. Murkowski, aye. Mrs. Fisher, aye. What's that? Mr. Young, aye. Mr. Carper, aye.
And folks, if you're just tuning in, good afternoon. Governor Raimondo is, look, she is She has the numbers, and we're very close to coming up with the final result here. I believe we've got 2 more votes left. Just 1 more vote for Governor Raimondo to become Commerce Secretary in the Biden administration.
Okay, did I yield? Okay. Are there any senators in the chamber wishing to vote or to change his or her vote? If not, the yeas are 84, the nays are 15, and the nomination is confirmed. Under the previous order, the motion to reconsider is considered made and laid upon the table, and the president will be immediately notified of the Senate's actions. The clerk will report the motion to invoke cloture.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close the debate on the nomination of Executive Calendar Number 13, Cecilia Elena Rouse of New Jersey, to be Chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, signed by 18 senators.
By unanimous consent, the mandatory quorum call has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that debate on the nomination of Cecilia Elena Rouse of New Jersey to be Chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors shall be brought to a close? The yeas and nays are mandatory under the rule. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal, Mr. Blunt, Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman, Mr. Braun, Mr. Brown, Mr. Burr, Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito, Mr. Cardin, Mr. Carper, Mr. Casey, Mr. Cassidy, Ms. Collins, Mr. Coons, Mr. Cornyn, Ms. Cortez Masto, Mr. Cotton.
All right, folks, good afternoon from our Providence studios here. As you may have been following along for the last, 40 minutes or so, Governor Raimondo now confirmed as Commerce Secretary of the United States, and she will join the Biden administration in formal capacity. Immediately, there will be, like a public sort of display that'll take place at a later date. Now, the next step in this process here locally in Rhode Island, of course, is Dan McKee being sworn in as governor. And the latest I have, and I was just with them just a few moments ago, as they're making the rounds. But the latest that I have is that this will take place sometime in the 3 o'clock hour, which is 3 minutes from now. It's going to be inside the state room at the State House. Okay. It's going to be closed to public media. And what they're planning on doing is basically they're going to have a pool photographer, a pool camera, and we'll be able to then broadcast that across our network of platforms, whether you're watching right now on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, or on Facebook. And so that's that. Governor Raimondo confirmed to become Commerce Secretary. And what a year it's been, right? What a year. And I think everybody knew at some level, if you follow Rhode Island politics, you kind of knew that Governor Raimondo was likely to become something national. She was gearing towards it. You just didn't know for sure what it would be. There was obviously talk of her being vice president briefly at one point. She was on some of those lists of, I guess you would call them power rankings, if you will. Of course, you can think back to just over a year ago and the whole Mike Bloomberg deal, where she was the first governor to come out and endorse Mike Bloomberg. A lot of people then, myself included, thought of her as someone who may be a running mate. But here she is now, just moments ago, confirmed by the United States Senate to become Commerce Secretary. And at some point in the coming moments, hours, we're not exactly sure when, but sometime soon, Lieutenant Governor McKee will take the oath of office to become governor of Rhode Island. And as far as a public display goes, that'll be on Sunday this weekend, I should say, at the Rhode Island State House, on the steps of the State House. So that's the latest right now. Governor Raimondo, she is going to be Commerce Secretary. She's Commerce Secretary of the United States. She'll oversee about 46,000 employees of that department. a roughly $8 billion budget, and a major role for a Rhode Islander, the first person to be become a member of a president's cabinet from Rhode Island since McGrath, the McGrath Judicial Complex down in Washington County. McGrath was the Attorney General back, I think, who would that be? Truman? So that's it for now. I'm going to sign off now. As soon as I get information about the stream, the pool stream that is of McKee taking the oath of office, I'm going to try to broadcast that live as well across the social media platforms. But if you're just tuning in, Governor Raimondo, she's the next Commerce Secretary of the United States. She's leaving Rhode Island officially. The speculation, Gina Watch, is over. And we'll be right back a little bit later with Dan McKee becoming the 76th governor of the state of Rhode Island. I'm Bill Bartholomew, and this is B-Town Live across our network of social media platforms.